you are not being humble about life, you are not serving others, you are not experiencing joy, there is a feeling of something being off in your life. Maybe it's because you are not living your life purpose. So, on this episode, we will be discussing and sharing our experience and what we think about if life required purpose.
Does life require purpose? And is it important to know your life's purpose? What is your opinion about that, Queen?
To be honest, I didn't know this. I was questioning this question probably like after my graduation. I was okay, where do I see myself? Do I want to work as a full-time jobber for the rest of my life? Or do I want to travel the world? Or do I want to create the contents that inspiring others? It's such a big question that I've always asked myself back then and still until today. So certainly, of course, it's give us the direction to achieve something and to leave the legacy in this world. So it is important to know why you are doing it and what's your truest life purpose. And many of us, I think we are living in the world that consuming by what the society tell you or the norm tell you to do, and all of a sudden you lose the sense of yourself. So to be able to answer this question, it has to be awareness. We are aware of who we are, the sense of self, and then we can answer it later on. Yeah. Do you think it's also from that, like you have to know who you are first?
Even before that, what I'm gathering is so you do believe that life requires a purpose, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so for me, I come from a place where I know that I don't like being told what to do or having someone else dictate my life. And when I'm thinking about life's purpose, I feel that it is possible to just exist. That's why I don't really necessarily feel that I want to tell somebody else their life requires purpose or it's meaningless. I know my dad is one of those people. He very much is a very present person. He doesn't have any goals or purpose that he centralizes his entire life around. He's just happy. And I think that's such a wonderful state to be in. I don't see anything wrong with it. But also, I think maybe that could also be from the standpoint of not taking time to understand what you want your life to be about. That is also an option. I'm not saying that's the full truth or that's 100% what's happening, but it is certainly a possibility. As for my own life, I have taken the time to try to identify what my life's purpose is because I feel like I want it to mean something, right? We want to believe in a legacy. We want to believe that we were all put on earth to do something. Do I believe in the legacy lasting? I used to. And that might be a bit controversial to say. Before, I used to be about building the legacy. And I'm like, if I build this business, then I will be able to pass it to my kids who can pass it to their kids. It will be good for the money. There's impact. It's leveraged impact. I affect one life, that a life affects somebody else, vice versa, and so forth. But at the same time, I think about, do I remember my grandparents' legacy? And have you ever thought about that? Your ancestors, what their legacy might have been or what they would have wanted their legacy to be?
I think it's about, it's not us, it's not like it's there, but you don't have to remember or follow through their legacy. For me, when I was saying that, yes, we do require life purpose because it's for us to achieve something in our life.
Mhm.
To leave the legacy is for ourselves to acknowledge that, hey, you have done this for you. You are not, you leave it and it's up to the others if your family or your friends or your fans gonna pick it up or not. It doesn't matter. The way I see the center of all of this is yourself, not the others. It's required because it's for you. It's not for the others. For you to be able to achieve something for yourself, to be successful for yourself. A lot of people, of course, you guys have been doing an excellent job leaving us fortune or businesses, and then you wish your kids or your grandchildren can carry on, but you never ask them what they wanted to do for their own life. So that's why it's required purpose, because everyone is different and we are individual. We have our passion that's different from one another. So it's important to know, to validate that. What do you really want to do, and not serving the others? That's what the first few questions that I asked before we started the episode. So no, I don't remember what my family left for me, and up until today, I'm not building or following through whatever they are leaving me, but I know how influential they were in my life, from their story. And of course, I want to become successful. I want to have like the happy family oriented as they were having, but in my version, in my word, and how I'm capable to do it.
I respect and appreciate that we have different perspectives because it facilitates really interesting conversations. As for the whole life purpose thing, as I said, I do believe that I have a life's purpose. My name I had mentioned in a former episode, it means gift of God, gift from God, Shiva. And it has a whole story attached to it based on why I was born, and that was to take responsibility and help my sister through life. So I love that purpose, but outside of what I was told from my family, I also had this one evening I sat down and I did a exercise of a sort. And I encourage those of you listening and watching our YouTube video or whatever platform you're on to do this exercise as well. And that is first start out with what you believe your life's purpose to be. So write down, think about what your life's purpose might be, or what some of the options are, anyways, and ask yourself why. Why do you believe that's your life's purpose? And then go a layer deeper and ask yourself why again. And then do that again and do it 7 times. Why 7? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it gets really hard after the third purpose. I will tell you that. It took me a very long time to narrow it down. If you're really thinking about it, you're really being honest with yourself, it will take you some time. And as you go through and you write down your life's purpose, if I say, my life's purpose is taking care of my sister, and I say, why? Well, that's because I love her. That's the story I was told. Well, why? Why does that matter? And as you go through each purpose, maybe your life's purpose is to become a doctor. Why do you want to become a doctor? And then if you have that purpose accomplished, then why did it matter? And the lower you go, the more internal, the introspective mechanics really come out. And that's when you can understand yourself and why you're really doing things. And as you pinpoint that internal motivation, you can then finally feel more motivated towards that thing because you know exactly what the value or the opportunity cost of that is. How would you say having a purpose versus not having a purpose affects your mental, physical, and emotional health?
Having a purpose, it sets you to do exactly what you have to do. That's mean you're taking care of your health, your mental health, your physical health, and then you try to achieve your goal. But in the contrary, if you don't have, then you're doing things to serve others. You could have work, you're supposed to work 9 to 5, but then you ended up working over hours because you try to please your boss or try to get it done, please your clients, and then it's a risk for you to um, get into the unhealthy habit as well. But another thing, when you don't have the purpose, it actually give you new opportunities and doors that can open you to anywhere. So it really depends on your perspective too, how you see it. It can be the fixed mindset or the growth mindset version, which we have mentioned on the other episode, is actually quite depend on you. How would you take it under your hand? You can be having this free spirit moment, and once you cross to the things that you figure it out that hey, this is the thing that introduced to me newly and I want to pursue, and then it changed into your purpose, then you can, realize how your mental and physical health adapt around it. So both ways I think it's good. But once you figure it out what you want, what you how you're gonna do or get it done, then that's where the the health and the goals are coming in.
What it initially sounded like you said is if you have a life's purpose identified, then you are more in alignment, which allows
Mm-hmm.
you to better be equipped or be equipped better for your life's activities. Whereas if you don't have a life's purpose, you're a little bit more with the flow.
Yeah, but it's not
And
with the flow actually.
it is. So the reason I summarize it is because when you initially said it, I was confused
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't entirely sure of how having a life's purpose would mean that someone is more aligned. Because, as you said, if you're
Yeah.
liberated, it's still a good thing because you're very present in the moment and it still causes for a very happy life. Like I said, my dad, he's very present. He doesn't necessarily believe in a life's purpose, but he's happy. He's a family man. He lives for his family, right? He has a good job and he's still happy. There's nothing wrong with it. He's go with the flow. The more that I think about what you said, it does make sense because when you have a life's purpose, maybe you are challenging yourself a bit more to be out there, to be experiencing new opportunities. And that in turn is opening many more doors for you that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. You wouldn't be meeting all those new people, trying new things, discovering new opportunities or skill sets for yourself compared to somebody who goes with the flow and is just happy with what they have. Not a bad thing, not at all. Mentally, physically, and emotionally speaking, I think you can be very sound whether or not you have a life's purpose. However, maybe you will have a drastically different persona depending on whether or not you believe you have a life's purpose. Interesting to think about. Like I said, I didn't understand it right when you said it, but it does make sense.
Yeah, I think it's really back to our perspective. You can be in both situation and just the way you approach things. You can be the free spirit kind of person and you willing to do everything, but maybe that's your purpose. Your purpose is to be as free as you can. So then you can experience so many things. So it really depends if you figure it out, all the things that you do might be already your life purpose, but you don't realize it. But once you realize it, then that's when we started to, oh, I have to adjust this so then I can take care of my health, my mental, my physical health, and also have time for my family and friends. Yeah.
How would you say somebody can discover their life's purpose? Although I don't believe that life requires purpose, you can just be. If you
Mhm.
do want to have a life's purpose and you are that kind of person, then how would you recommend someone go about finding what that is?
It revolves around what you like to do. That's how I see, right? I love playing piano, I love singing, and I love working with community, sharing what I know, my little knowledges and my experiences to the children. So that's one of my life purpose, to have the workshops or the course for the kids, and then they get to experience through me. But I also do believe that the purpose doesn't have to be just one. You can have different purposes in life, and you can achieve them throughout time, right? I'm not like fixated mind that okay, this is the thing that I want to do. Once I finished, there's something else for us to do. It's similar to what you said, just be. I think it's just the matter of fact of how we face it, but it's the same thing. what is it? If it's right or wrong, or it's the right way to do, who actually say it? It's us, the human, who give the definition of things. So at the end of the day, you are the only person who know what's right for you, if this is your purpose, and if you want to change. Life happen all the time, so so you have to experience it. That's all. That's all I can say.
I fully agree with you on you can have multiple purposes as well. If you think about the journey of evolution, which is what our entire podcast is about, you are so many different people throughout your lifetime. Who you
True.
were 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago is a different lifetime, really. I feel like my younger self was a completely different person. She didn't have the same experiences. She was a different life ago. And who I am today, the people I've met way back when, they don't even know the person I am in this moment. And when you are somebody who's evolving that drastically and changing as much as you are with age, with experiences, with the people you meet, then your life's purpose is also evolving. It's changing. And there's this whole notion in conjunction with that that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Think about all those people you meet. What are all those reasons? Do
Yeah.
your reasons change as you meet people? When I met you at Miss Supranational last year, I didn't know that you and I would become partners,
Yes.
especially in something as long term as this brand will be. But it started out as something that was companionship in line. We were always next to each other, sort of, right? And that became photo buddies. And that
Yes.
became
We know the best angles.
yeah. Yes, for all the promotions we were doing for sponsors, Queen and I would take photos for one another because we liked the photos that we took of one another. And that transformed into emotional stability. We would just have conversations as friends that were there for one another, and that became business partners. And I think that's such an amazing, incredible transformation that we haven't taken the time to acknowledge. But in each of those aspects or different reasons that we provided to one another at some point in our life, we contributed to different purposes. So I fully agree. Life has many different purposes, but it's fascinating to think about all the ways that you might have fulfilled a purpose for someone without meaning to. And that's powerful, right? Isn't that so cool? That is
Yes,
so cool.
yes. I was like totally agreed on every point that you said. Because this morning I woke up and I was doing my regular routine yoga and then meditation. And I was doing this guided meditation of being thankful to everyone that who came across in my life. And not everyone stay, right? There's so many people, but they leave all those small footprints that give me or develop me into who I am today. Everyone is a part of who I am. So certainly what you just said, maybe you change someone's life completely. Just the 5 second hello and the smile. Sometimes you see people walk on the street and then they smile at you. We would normally think like, oh, that's weird, like why people smiling at. But then the other day you just wake up and then you smile back. And then the entire day just change. I think it's the just a split second of how things can, nominate each other. Fascinating, yes. Beautiful
Yeah,
to think that way too.
it's a beautiful concept to embrace because it adds to the value of your life. At least it feels that way, doesn't it? You like to think about your life's purpose from your own standpoint, but think about how many purposes you've fulfilled without even meaning to unintentionally. And it adds to your power. Doesn't matter if you wake up and you didn't feel great that day, you contributed. You did your part in the world.
True.
And what you said about finding your purpose, you said it starts with something you love. And I think it doesn't have to be a skill set or an activity, it can also be a person. And that can also be something that those of you listening should think about, because maybe it's a person, maybe it's an activity, maybe it's both, right? And starting somewhere with something or someone you love, and then prioritizing your core beliefs and values that we've talked about in a former episode, understanding the difference between important and urgent, and then going from there, right? Maybe you have one purpose, maybe you have multiple. But as you map out all of those ideas, you can also begin to map out your goals in a way where if you are somebody who believes in needing a life purpose or wanting a life purpose, you can easily self discover what that might be by going through those steps and finding your reason for being. Also, another way to find a reason for being is, I guess, also imagine journaling all the little things that you might have done to interact with somebody in that day. So,
Mhm.
this conversation between you and me could be something I could journal about, because you have added to my ideas of how I believe the world to be or how I imagine living life. And that is a purpose you might have fulfilled for the day. So, writing all those little things out and adding them up can be a really good self confidence boost, too.
And gratitude, guys. That's a lot come out of gratitude. When you practice gratitude, saying it out loud, affirmation, you started to see that how you relate it to each sentence, and you can sense it in your body like, oh, this is what I'm thinking to do today, or want to achieve. Yeah, it's give you the glimpse of the ideas, and then you can, take it and then make it happen.
With that, we wrap up this week's episode. We started this episode by saying you aren't being humble about life, and that is one sign you might not be living your life's purpose. What we meant to say by that is life doesn't owe you anything. It is you who owes it to life and owns life itself. So live life the way you desire every single day, the ideal way you want to live it.
Thank you so much for tuning in today on this episode, Does Life Require Purpose? And we do hope that you pick something out, some of the messages here, and maybe you found your life purpose while listening to us. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. And see you on every Wednesday.